When money dies, it doesn't make a sound at first. There's no explosion, no breaking glass, no sirens in the streets. It dies quietly, invisibly, like oxygen slowly draining from a room. You still breathe, but every breath gives you less. Prices rise, savings vanish, governments promise, and people keep believing until one day they can't. That's the moment when faith collapses. Because money is not paper, it's trust. And when that trust disappears, everything else follows. History has seen this movie before, again and again. In every century, on every continent, when a government begins to create money faster than it creates value, the clock starts ticking. At first it feels like prosperity. Everyone feels richer. Wages rise, stocks climb, politicians celebrate. But beneath the surface, the foundation is already cracking, and by the time anyone dares to admit it, it's too late. The pattern isn't new. It's ancient. Empires die the same way nations do, slowly at first, then all at once. Rome did it, France did it, Germany did it, and now the world's largest economy is walking down the same path, step by step, telling itself the same comforting lies. To understand how money dies, you have to go back to the first time a government discovered how easy it was to cheat the system. It was the Roman Empire, rich, powerful, unstoppable. Their soldiers were paid in silver coins called denarii. Each coin had real value because it contained real silver. But running an empire was expensive. Armies, roads, palaces, endless wars. So emperors found a shortcut. They started mixing cheaper metals, copper, tin, into the silver coins. The coins looked the same, but they weren't. The people couldn't tell the difference at first, but merchants could. Prices went up. The soldiers demanded more coins. The government printed even more. By the 3rd century, the denarius was almost worthless. The empire that ruled the known world collapsed under its own inflation. Fast forward 1,500 years. Germany, 1920s. The scars of World War I were still bleeding. Reparations had broken the economy, and the government did what desperate governments always do. It printed more money. In 1919, $1 was worth 4 German marks. By 1923, that same dollar cost 4 trillion marks. People carried cash in wheelbarrows. Children made kites out of banknotes. Housewives used money as wallpaper. And still, the government told citizens not to panic, that this was temporary, that recovery was coming. But it never did, not until the money was dead. What's remarkable isn't how Germany collapsed, it's how it began. Slowly, invisibly, with the same excuses every government makes. We need temporary stimulus. We'll fix it later. The economy is too fragile to stop now. Each lie feels small on its own. Together, they form a death sentence. Money doesn't die in chaos. It dies in denial. Now, a century later, the same illusion has returned, globalized, digitized, and weaponized by central banks and politicians who believe the laws of economics no longer apply. In 2008, the world printed trillions to save itself. In 2020, it printed even more to survive a pandemic. Today, the machine that creates money runs non-stop, day and night. But there's a cost. Every new dollar makes the old ones weaker. Every rescue makes the next crisis bigger. Every solution digs the hole deeper. The secret governments don't tell you isn't that inflation exists. It's that they need it. Inflation is a silent tax. It transfers wealth without permission. It erodes your savings without debate. It funds wars, welfare, and waste. It allows the rich to borrow and the poor to drown. And as long as you believe prices are rising because of greedy companies or global supply chains, you'll never look in the right direction. The thief isn't in the store, it's in the system. Think about it. 100 years ago, $1 could buy 5 loaves of bread. Today, it buys 1. Not because bread got rarer, but because dollars did. The government didn't take your money from your bank account. It took it from your money itself. Quietly, invisibly, legally. The illusion of control is powerful. Politicians love to say, we can print money, but we can't print value. Yet they do it anyway, because in the short term, it works. It wins elections, it postpones pain. It buys peace today by borrowing it from tomorrow. But tomorrow always comes. And when it does, it looks like this: interest rates rising, debt spiraling, economies shrinking, and ordinary people wondering why life keeps getting harder no matter how much they work. They don't see the connection between the endless printing and the endless struggle. They don't realize that money is supposed to measure value, not manipulate it. That's why when money dies, it takes morality with it. When money is stable, effort has meaning. When money collapses, everything becomes corrupted. Bribery replaces honesty. Speculation replaces hard work. Gambling replaces saving. And truth itself becomes negotiable. Because if value can be faked in your wallet, it can be faked everywhere else too. This is the real secret. Money doesn't die alone. It takes trust, stability, and civilization down with it. Rome fell because its currency fell. Weimar Germany turned to tyranny because inflation destroyed faith in democracy. And now, as global debt climbs past $300 trillion, as nations print faster to cover yesterday's promises, as central banks pretend they can control a fire they started, we are watching the same story replay, modernized, digitized, sped up to real time. They won't call it collapse. They never do. They'll call it quantitative easing, monetary stimulus, modern monetary theory. But the name doesn't matter. The math does. Because the math always wins. When every new dollar must be borrowed into existence, when every borrowed dollar adds to the interest that must be paid, when that interest can only be paid by printing even more money, there's no exit. It's not politics, it's physics. A system that depends on infinite growth in a finite world will always end the same way. Governments don't warn you about that because they can't stop it. The only way to prevent collapse is to let the system correct itself, to stop printing, stop borrowing, stop lying. But no government in history has ever done that willingly. They always choose the slow death over the short pain. And so, the pattern continues. But there's another secret. Collapse isn't the end. It's the reset. When money dies, new systems are born. Gold once replaced silver. Paper replaced gold. Now digital promises are replacing paper. Each time the same mistake is repeated, believing the next version will be different. That this time, we've learned, that this time, trust can be printed. It can't. Because in the end, the real currency isn't money, it's confidence. And once confidence breaks, no amount of printing can buy it back.